Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, dear listeners. Welcome back to another episode, and we're going to be going through Wal Asr. So it's a tiny surah, but it's packed. If you start looking at its tafsirs, if you start going through commentaries for it, it's just packed. And then there's a beautiful hadith to the effect that, I'm not sure who it was, I can't remember, that they said that even if Allah had just sent us this surah, it should have been sufficient to get us on track and to know what it is. So the one thing, in the last surah in Al-Hakum Al-Takathur, we talked about piling up and the disparity also between who has what they don't have. But the one thing, we are all given the same thing. We're all given a heart. We're all given the concept of the fitrah. We had Alastu bi Rabbikum. Allah asked us, am I not your Rabb? We have all declared that before we were born. So we have the fitrah to know Him. And then the other thing is, what we all have is time. That is it's like air we breathe. It isn't that Allah gives more pure air somewhere and not so. The air is the same. It's how we use it, how we destroy it, what we do with it, how we corrupt the ozone layer. That's a separate issue. But so time is something we are all given. And in our short life or in our long life, in whatever it is, we have been given time. And it says, Innal insana li rabbihi, what is it? Wal asr, innal insana lafi khusr. Indeed, by the swearing by time. And whenever Allah swears it's something it's right there. It's washamsi wa duhaha. It's something you see, the shams. It's waladiyat dabhan. It's no, it's not waladiyat. It's with the wow when it's a qasam. So I'm not going to derail into that discussion just now. But what it is that when Allah is saying wal asr, by time, you're at a loss. And every minute I'm inching, from the second I'm born, I'm inching towards my death. I don't know if it's after 2 minutes as a newborn baby, or is it going to be when I reach age 100. But whatever it is, it's every moment you are. From a child, yes, you can go up and down, but technically on a line of timeline, you are every moment closer to the end of it. So, innal insana lafi khusr. The inna also is emphasis of indeed man is in. That's a statement what Allah is giving us. It's telling it you are. So what's going to jack you up? Then whenever we are given an ultimatum, you've got a fine. You were speeding. You got a fine, and you're saying, okay, I got a fine, but now how can I get out of it? How can I, offer motivation enough for him not to give me the fine? So I'm just using this, my own extraction, to try and give it to, because for children and for others, we need to always try and give them to what they can relate to, what is there, downtime, electricity off, no more computer games, nothing, it's down. And then you say, okay, so how else can I use this time or what? So, innal insana lafi khusr, that insan is at a khusr, so that is a big statement. And then illa alladhina amanu, except is a big one. There's a lot of tafsir about what these people are, who they are, and these 4 categories. So it's 4 categories given of what they are. It's inna alladhina amanu. The first thing is of belief, and we talked about there's no success in life if you don't believe. If you are not on la ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah, if you're not on tawheed, if you don't have the oneness in place. So that is the first thing. Amanu wa amilu salih, and followed up, backed up by good deeds. So ours isn't like the concept of somebody else dying on the cross for you and that your sins are forgiven. Of course, they also don't have the idea that then you can go around murdering people, but nonetheless, there is this kind of somebody else has exonerated me from taking responsibility for my action to an extent, not to 100%, but to an extent. That's what it is. So here also, it's the amal salihat. So I know we have things that we say, oh, but all Muslims will go, eventually they'll go, maybe they'll have on earth would want even a dip in hell, if that's what the saying goes, or other things. No, so it's amanu wa amilu salihat, they go hand in hand, like salah and sabr go together. So amanu is often with amalu salihat. So that, and there's a whole thing of how much amalu salihat it is. And beautifully, even in al-hakum al-takasur, the fact is that you are in, because this is what you're doing, but it doesn't say what the flip side is. So the flip side here is being given is amalu salihat with amanu. And then and I love this word, watawasaw bilhaq and watawasaw bisabr. If you go into the grammar, it's beautiful. You can unpack it on the grammar, what scale it is, all those things. But basically, it is It comes from the bab of the word where it's mutual. I help you. It's like I help you improve and you help me improve. And this is what a moment to a moment is supposed to be a mirror. What does a mirror do? It reflects the best of us. It's supposed to reflect our best nature, our best character, and that's how we're supposed to be with each other. So what is it? وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ. So we encourage ourselves to the truth. And I love this, I'm just digressing sort of, but this beautiful saying which says from a sheikh that truth is so intrinsic and haq that it overrides everything and it can always be found. So even if you're in a morass of, God forbid, I'm a drug addict, God forbid, I'm something else, and I'm steeped in badness, but the light of truth still shines. Yes, my heart is 90% dead and God forbid, it can be this or that, but the light of haq is always there. And the moment we take one step towards Allah, Allah really makes it so easy for us. He puts everything in front of us to pave the way, to help us to get to Him. And there's a beautiful hadith to that effect. And وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, and also sabr. Then there's a whole long history on what sabr is, of how it is. And the most beautiful thing is, look, you don't do sabr when you have no other choice. Then that's not really sabr, you're just doing it. But the beauty is, even in, I like that a bit of the sabr is that even in following what you're supposed to do, it requires a certain mind of steadfastness, of being tahammul, of being on the spot, on following through on it. So those sort of things, go and unpack and read the tafsir. But before that, while we're in Ramadan, please memorize it. And I think most of us do, and most of us do love this surah. But then if you know it, you love it, and you've already got it memorized, go and get to the depth of it. Go and get what وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ and وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. So these are the 4 criteria. Amanu wa amilu salihat, encourage each other towards the truth, and encourage each other to sabr. And sabr at the base level, yes, gosh, what can I do? I have to do sabr. But there's also beautiful, there's actually a beautiful taste in sabr, is you have an option. Yes, I can blast her. She just did something to me. I'm in a position of authority. She isn't. She's only an employee, whatever. I'm in a position. And if you sort of say, no, forgive her, from a moment to a moment, we're supposed to find 70 excuses for each other before we think of bad of them. For those in whatever level of authority we are, maybe I only have it in my kitchen and to tell the kids, put your things there. Wherever little tiny bit of I have clout, and at that time I withhold my rage, I withhold doing what I'm entitled to do because I'm in this position. Just taste the sweetness of that beauty. Taste the beauty, and that is going over and above. So then they talk about the 7 people under the shade of the arsh of Allah, and one of them is a just king, a good king, that he could be really raising the ground and creating havoc, which people do sometimes. Pharaoh, classic example. And yet, if you're a just king and a king on righteousness, those are one of the best people. So just in us, when we are given something and we are not tested in the way we see people in traumatized areas, war zones, and whatever goes on, especially in Ramadan, sometimes invariably, hardship occurs. Despite all of that, and your life's hunky-dory, even there, it's not like, oh, well, I don't have any need to sabr, I've got everything. No, the sabr is that in having everything, you contain yourself. You don't go overboard in anything. You don't do al-hakum al-takathur hatta zurtumul maqabir. So these surahs also go as a pair, as a 4. The us links back to all of them together that they came. It was the 4 that went together, was Hilaal, Adiyat, Qariya, and al-hakum al-takathur. And now we have us, the epitome that if you don't get your life right, you are going to be in khasara. And the 4 things you can be doing in the dunya is these 4 things. Amanu sinsa. And it says in Surah Ankabut also, don't you think that you're going to believe, you're just going to say the kalima and you're going to be, you submit, and then you're not going to be tested. You are going to be tested. And we know Amanu is the next level of being up from that. So I don't want to get into tafsir. I'm just wanting to encourage you to use this time to memorize, whether it's after iftar, before zuhur, whatever time. Yes, I wanted to share with you how when we did a course on trying to hifz, and it said hifzing in 56 days. We had a lovely sheikh from Medina who came up, and if you want to email me and get the name of all those things, you're more than welcome. At the station, you'll have the email there somewhere. It's the best time to memorize is it's at night, and that's why we have the tahajjud time. That's why we're going to have Laylatul Qadr. That's the time when you stay up. So, and you don't just do it one day, it's just the practice of it you're doing constantly, because that is the most beautiful time. And the beautiful thing about that time is that because our two way of noticing our sense of sincerity of knowing is that we stay away from fame, and we say our nightly prayer, because nobody's watching us at that time, unless you live in a dorm and you're making so much racket to get your wuzu done that the whole world knows that now you're up for tahajjud, you know. And even the moment, you know, I don't even like talking about, then you say, oh, but you know, they were up for tahajjud, oh, but they're so pious. The moment you've said it, you've taken away the salah. So it's the deeds, the good deeds done in the quiet, that are the most valuable. So it said that you sleep, and we do have this, that, you know, after Isha, sleep it and then wake up later. And it's a beautiful thing, and I'm just paraphrasing it, might not be 100% accurate, but like a sleep from 9 o'clock to midnight is 1 hour of sleep gives you 3 hours of rest. So you've only slept 3 hours, but you've actually got 9 hours of rest. Then they say from midnight, or whether it's 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, I'm not sure, till about 3, 4 o'clock, just before Fajr, 1 hour of sleep equals 1 hour of rest. So the benefit you are deriving from that sleep is less than the sleep that you do in the first half. And then in the last, it actually says something to the effect that either from 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, or whatever, till about 7, 8 o'clock, or whatever, even that time, your 3 hours of sleep equals 1 hour of rest. And so to me, it really makes sense when, you know, it's on a Sunday and you want to stay up till midnight at 10 o'clock and so on. So you lie in, but actually when you wake up, you feel like you've really wasted time. And the beauty of waking up early, again, connecting with asr, with time, with the concept, you know, early to bed, early to rise, all those things, is the beauty, the barakah that's there of being productive. The birds get up early for their risk. We can get up early, and truly, in the days of Ramadan, when we are getting up early, we even get our Quran reading done, we get this done, we get all our extra nawafil salah we want to do, so much. And also notice how much time goes in our kitchen, and how much time we just go da 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 da. You know, so they say shaitan attacks us from many levels, and one of the levels he attacks us on is through the tummy. They just keep you oh, I had that yesterday, today we want an exotic dish, and we wanted this, and we wanted that. And you know, all this is piling up of wanting why don't we try piling up on how to be with the Quran? Sometimes memorize, sometimes listen to the tilawah, sometimes go into tajweed, sometimes go into tafsir. Those are the beautiful things we should be doing. So inshallah, with this tiny surah of Wal Asr, which I didn't even give you word to word meaning, but you can go and read it, it's all there. I just want to try and motivate us to encourage our young ones and ourselves to memorize these beautiful short surahs of the Quran. So that's for just a special request for Ramadan, and I pray that you will pray for all of us, and as we are here, and we pray for all of you, inshallah, for the whole ummah, for the betterment of everything. So with that, till another time, Subhana rabbika rabbil izzati amma yasifun, wa salamun al mursaleen, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.